There are there are a lot of moments in our lives that we choose as the defining epiphany or whatever, that moment when the revelation comes. For me, it happens several times daily. What I believe to be true and what is actually true will always be two separate things. There's the truth is, to say it simply, is like, the truth is all the world is a series of narratives that we all create, right? It's all our own world. So we're creating this story that we play in. And if we find others that we get along with, then our narratives can vibe. And so with it, we all confer amongst ourselves that, okay, this is our known truths and whatever. And that's why it's important to find your circle and your friends and your family. And then those of us that are different, thank God for a little bit of rivalry, because that's the spice of chaos that creates so many venues of life and everything like that. All that being said, I got a bro. Let's just call him Johnny, right? You know, everybody knows a little Johnny joke or whatever. He's the kind of guy who has been stationed in what he thinks for life, a place of leery, unsuspecting, you know, there's a stigma attached to his lifestyle. And a lot of people assume, because of what like an onlooker or a passerby would see him up to, that he's a bad guy and he's up to no good. The truth is he's a candle holder in the dark. He's an angel, because he's placed in a low position in life. And yes, to get by, and he struggles in and out of it, but for just to sustain a bad habit, you know, like going to a party after months of hard work and feeling successful, and somebody's like, hey, you want to try some drugs? If you're the kind of person that has no inhibitions or reservations and you go ahead and try some drugs, great. I hope your vibration alteration has helped you, you know, evolve and broaden your horizons, and you can understand that through a different perception, you're kind of like able to modify everything like that. If you do drugs and then do drugs again and then do drugs again and then you can't go without them, you've defeated yourself. You've totally defeated yourself. How do I put it this way? Like, drugs are the devil's tools, but the devil's tools in an angel's hands are what can be the ultimate realization that we're all just Sandman, right? So let's say, like meth, it's got a terrible stigma and it looks ugly. And I was I would demonize and treat people like shit who smoked meth for a long time. You know why? Because I had an opinion that I generated from other people's opinions, and I wanted to stand all cocky and proud. And so, yeah, you fucking tweaker and this and that and can't trust them and all that shit. You know what? Having a girlfriend who was just introduced me into it, and when I was in Kelowna, I thought I was snorting blow, and it was 100% crystal, and I was up for 4 days and almost lost my mind because of not being able to sleep, right? And then the next girlfriend that I was with, I was trying to help her sober up, and it seemed as though she was deliberately trying to get me addicted into it. Once we broke up, I chose on my own volition, my own free will, to dabble with it a little bit, and still trying to be proud and stalwart and know who I am and what I represent and all these images and everything like that. I chose to lie about using it, even though I hadn't fallen full circle into addiction. If the way that I consumed alcohol was a sign, I would have became a full-blown, total binge abusing addict. I'm fortunate that never happened. Intervention did instead. And where was I going with all this? There are a lot of good people out there who do things in life because if it's not them there doing the dirty jobs, well, then some fucking scumbag would show up and do their job but exploit people along the way. Do you understand what I'm saying? So my friend is he's one of those people. He's seriously just, he's doing the job that a lot of people would just be happy to point a finger at and say that he's the problem. But the moment that a man like him stops selling this shit, and he does it with pain in his voice, and he talks to all the people that ask it for him, and he's always looking out for their benefits. The moment that somebody like him disappears, some capitalizing, exploitive vermin might seize the opportunity. I set out, after simply just dabbling a little bit and talking with some very influential people, knowing things that most of the world doesn't, that what I initially did when I was still naive and hubris is I was going to start doing drugs, and fearlessly and shamelessly, just so that I could get off of them and show everybody how easy it was, and lead by example, be the poster boy for change. And I think I really am the poster boy for change because of my fearlessness in confronting truth and admitting my own vulnerable mortality about it. I don't have all the answers, but I can sure help decipher a lot of the convoluted bullshit that's out there. Anyways, long story short, my bro he's hanging out with this girl, and I've gotten to know her too. And despite all the opinion of others and out there is a beautiful, passionate, wonderful soul that is so far from the surface, because all she's ever known is suffering and pain and judgment. And he and her kind of found each other in a way because they're both misunderstood, but they're both actually like really beautiful, and there's a harmony in their life, and it's hard to explain. Of course, moments happen. I don't know entirely what went down, but she had a really bad night, and I heard this and that, some damaged some wall or whatever, and scared his cat, and so he had his cat in his car and this and that. But I know who he is, and this guy has this fucking track record. Okay, he always shows up to help, drives, he's a gopher, he does this, his empathy is unbelievable, he takes on tremendous loads, like exponentially to 1,000 that a normal human being should, and it just goes and 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 goes until eventually like he breaks down, and then he'll disappear or like go somewhere because he needs to feel like he needs to be institutionalized to come out stronger and better, and realize that everything that's been troubling his life has been the problem. The problem is not anything like that. The problem is that like men like him go around this world and they take on suffering to try and alleviate the stress from others. And a lot of people along their journeys don't mature fast enough or like spiritually and emotionally properly to really take a moment and realize that this pillar of strength that is in their life is being taken advantage of. And it's not a selfish or deviant thing that we do when we find these strong people that we rely on. But these pillars of strength, where they're in it, they almost have this block where they are unable to expose their vulnerabilities and their doubts and things that they're not sure about, because all they've ever known is it's shitty all around, and I guess I'll take it upon myself to be the strong one so that others can feel sheltered and motivated and inspired. Over time, the message gets misconstrued, right? People take kindness for weakness and expect what you're doing, it becomes a habit, right? So you gave me an inch, now I'm demanding a mile kind of mindset. And we just, my friends are better than me, because I'll take that kind of behavior that's been unappreciated for so much time until I build up to this moment where I kind of like, I choose to have a breakout. I choose to have a tantrum and a snapping moment so that I can let people know around me know that like you're crossed the line. But I'm deliberately choosing to lose my shit. It's kind of like a demonstration, a show, if that makes any sense, right? So I'm choosing to be a bit barbarous about it. My bro, he doesn't do that. The closest thing you ever see to anything negative come out of him is he gets a little bit lippy, road raging. And that's his outlet. That's his channel. Because he takes lumps on the back of the head and one on the chin day after day after day, just trying to smoothen out the wrinkles in life. And so if he's driving behind somebody who's, you know, just, I don't know, for whatever reason, just typical road rage shit, just that's his way of keeping too much pressure out. And I understand. But a little bit of bark here and there. Other than that, the guy is a saint. He's a hero. He's my hero. I love him to ends of the earth that I can't even begin to explain. And seeing him come over to my place, he called me at 2 a.m, but I was sleeping. My phone's always on silent. So when I called him back, told him not to drive, but he ended up driving here anyways. I think he was good, but it's just to be careful, right? Anybody who drinks and drives and fucking thinks that it's laughable, you are the scum of the earth, okay? Because it's one thing to get pulled over and lose your license for a year. It's another thing to wake up for the next 45, 50 years of your life knowing that your careless decision is the reason that a family is missing someone in their lives. Anyways, he came over to my place, and I think he was all right, but who knows? We had a little bit of a heart-to-heart, and I was just starting to realize and see his pain and his suffering and his station in life. And he is a very enlightened man who has been playing the fool, living in this world for a long time. And he's helped me to see things that I never would have. But those of us enlightened folk, we have this concept, it's called on-off. When we get so high up in our ascension, it's imperative to switch it off, because it gets delusional and overzealous and kind of manic if we don't. But the problem, like the biggest confliction with that is to go from on to off. I have this term called play acting, where I know that if somebody knows more than what they're revealing, everything they're saying is a play act. And in my head, the way that I was able to construe it when I was just becoming this is, I literally thought it was like a fucking secret podcast or something. But it's really a big, well, for me, it was a big hill to get over, because anytime that I drop out of spiritual ascension and enlightenment mojo and ramble, I come back down to the real world. And I have to have normal human conversations with people. And I feel like it's all just for show. And what's the point? And having come to the conclusion that I choose truth above everything else has also brought me to the ultimate realization that I'm willing to share my truth with anybody who asks and is prepared to go as deep with me as they understand. But I'm not willing to just declare my maybe theories out there. I think I have a special talent, because when I get so much information, my first proclivity actually is to imagine the worst and most daunting scenario imaginable, right? I think about the dread first, and then I chew on that and I malleate it, and I'm glad, because once I dwell on the dread, then I build something better out of it. But I realize that if there's a stall moment, there's a lag where I need to go, okay, so this is the dismal you've created. Now let's look at the potential, the yield for love and everything. There's a disconnect there. And if I share my message with people who only catch the first bit because I get them anxious and hysterical, and then they're not spiritually mature enough to overcome it to the truth of love, well, that's creating damage. So, all that being said, I will always speak the truth. And I will always firmly believe that every day that I walk around interacting with people, that it's all made up, right? Whatever I choose to do in my life, I know what my calling is, and that's to recharge the heroes. That's to remind them that they chose the selfless, sanctimonious duties. They don't get pats on the backs or attaboys for being the so-called bad guy. They walk around in this dismal world of suffering, and they just keep shining their light in the darkness. They're candle holders in the dark. And anyways, all I'm trying to say is like, men like him are the reason that so many of us get to live in a world without pure agony and suffering. Because if you get rid of a good guy who's in a bad place, you are going to let the bad ones take over. So I hated meth and everything about it for a long time. And now I've learned to understand it. And I will never, ever go out and tell people, you should try it. But I will always understand that those who have chosen to dabble with it, use it because it is a way for their brain chemistry, and only people who can do this. It's not for everyone, right? Some people can't smoke weed without going into hysteria. Don't even fucking try some crazy drug like this. But there are people out there who have realized that they can change the brain waves a little bit in their thought cognitive processes, that they are actually able to send thoughts into the universe like they always were. But it's just about coming to the realization where, like, our future selves are timeless, infinite beings, and they adhere to a very strong code, and they won't breach their established code for any reason at all, because what they're trying to do is guide this universe of existence in a better way, without creating like some Star Trek time space continuum, whatever like that. But reaching back to some of us woken individuals who haven't actually achieved that level. Like me, for instance, I have been so far permitted to speak my mind freely, knowing that not all my messages are going to reach the whole world. And I understand, because it'll induce mass hysteria and anxiety and panic. But a lot of people will get these messages. I've been given pretty much supreme authority, and it's hard to explain, but because they already saw it coming. And many, many powerful people have told me, look, man, it can be whatever you want it to be. You can do anything you want. I have chosen to take the low road. And I know that there's some sort of recognition that it will be unavoidable. And I'll always get the nod from those who know, and those who don't will just walk by me like I'm just some schmuck. But there's going to be a company that's going to... Its motto is just going to be, they'll probably go under a guise of like life coach or spiritual transformation or whatever like that. But there's going to be a big company that's going to come out, and they're just fucking giver, can do, or whatever. And it was supposed to be my company, but given supreme power and authority, fucking so arrogant to even say that shit. Acknowledging that it was given to me. It was given to me, okay? Like, I've done my part to earn it, but really the ultimate power was handed to a man. It was not like I forged my destiny on my end, but the whole collective will of fucking like ascension and like good karma handed me power. And what I've decided to do, and I just want to send this message out to you folk who think that I'm backpedaling or I'm not sticking to my guns or whatever. I think it was the final trap, right? So now that you have all the power you ever want, and money isn't even like, if you could do anything, money's not even an issue. What would you want to do? And what I want to do is I want to inspire, encourage, and I don't think innate is an actual word, but I love it. So innate other men and women to feel powerful, to feel like they are the ones who can do anything, right? I'm unique, and I have been given certain powerful gifts, and I could most certainly use them for exploiting in my own gains and taking care of me and mine. But me and mine are the chosen. And I need the chosen to know that all of my power and all of my authority is theirs. I write a lot of literature, and I never want to make money off of it. I want everyone who's got access to it to make it your own, to make it big. Maybe you will get that couple million in the house in the hills or whatever. But I know that if you do this, you will spend the rest of your life sending these messages out to people. My greatest power is unfathomable. But to know that I could do anything I want, and what I really, really want is to give the power back to everyone who gave it to me, because they thought it was their only way out of this trap. They had to choose one, and the spear, the tip, they had to choose one guy to be the tip of the spear, the one to guide the ship, the conduit of the energies of the collective. Well, the veil is slipped. The rest of the world just hasn't caught up. But that's all the spear was for. Spear truth, just to toss it through the curtain. You shine one little hole, and then the whole audience understands that there's a backstage. That's already happened. And now that the truth of spear has done its job, I'm still a conduit of the collective. And I understand that. There's a lot of learning and growing. And right now, this is my simple message. And I'm sorry I'm not all pumped it, but whatever. I'm taking this shit seriously, but the message is everyone out there is like, you are God's gift to this earth. And there's no one single mind who is so powerful that we should all just go with it and do it, right? I'd be happy to be granted some sort of, not prestige or authority, but when it comes down to it, when this council reveals itself, or at least the physical representation of it, where we actually have physical counseling in, like amongst the world and shit, when all that's going on, I think that there should always be that one guy who stands at the center of it and make sure that whatever the council agrees on, it's our sworn duty to make sure that it feels right deep down inside. But this just sounds like some crazy rambling and shit, but the message is simple, right? Truth, love, peace. What is the truth? There is not enough time in this lifetime for me to tell you my truth, because it's always changing. The impermanence of it is unfucking believable. I can describe the infinite loop to people in 3 distinct ways, and maybe a 4th, and if you give me a few more years, for sure. The truth of many things, I'll try to do a truth of the day. But the truth of this day is words take away from the truth. The truth is there is no language that anyone has ever articulated that can truly share what our spirit is trying to express. Every time we use a word to try and represent an emotion or a feeling or an instinct, it's like it's taking away from it. Ever watch I don't know, like a Family Guy movie or some sort of cartoon? I can't remember. I've watched a cartoon, Simpsons, I watched The Simpsons a long time ago, and it was like this Halloween special. And every clone of Homer got dumber and dumber and dumber, right? So a clone of a clone is like dumber, dumber. A clone of a clone of a clone of a clone is dumber. So using words to try and explain our spirituality is like a clone of the true thoughts. There's more to life than words can describe. And there's so much beauty in so many things. Music is spirituality that we can all connect to, that it supersedes religion and everything else. For me, is Jesus fucking Christ, who saved my soul from eternal damnation. And even if my posting is inevitably permanent, whoever I am to him, he is my king. That being said, I am now full tilt exploring Buddhism. I very much so plan on getting a Quran and learning about that. Judaism, every single religion. There's a lot of major ones, but there's countless smaller ones. I want to give them all a flair and a touch and a taste because they all brought something to the table. It can be anything I want. It can be anything I want. I can do anything I want. Maybe not now, not right away. Some guy took my idea and basically made it his own, right? And so everything I've been trying to talk about, he's going like this. And I'm pretty sure he's got millions in his eyes. Good. Fucking good. Because I know down the road, he will use his millions to help the little guy, because he'll look back and be like, okay, knowledge is free, whatever, motivation, capitalize this, seize that, blah, 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 blah. And he'll still see me on the streets trying to do some small little whatever, but like where it counts to fucking me, where it really counts to me. And that's like, it all comes back to my buddy's story. So like, what is my calling? My calling is to like really, really lift up those who are in pain. And it's beyond more than just like the normal realm of that shit. So that's why I just thought if I started a small handyman company and, even if guys were strung out or hung over or could barely handle 4 hours, right? What does this handyman company involve? Me, sober, at the door, making sales, and my helper guy who's having a terrible life. But you know what? Throughout a week, even if he doesn't show up for full shifts, I still got a job for him there. We're fixing a deck or picking up dog shit, raking leaves, cleaning the gutters. Maybe we could paint a fence, just little simple things. And no, that's not going to make me a fortune. But it's going to make me happy doing what I'm doing. And that's just the start. A few guys get off the street with this little handyman thing I got going on. Well, now that this dude's picked himself up, and he's like feeling good about himself, he's feeling empowered, he's feeling inspired. He's like, I've always wanted to do this, right? Who knows? Maybe he'll be the next dude to make pogs or fidget spinners or something. Well, if this guy's kind of looking up to me and happy that I went through him, all it takes for me is to look back at him now that he's saved himself and go, fuck yeah, you can. And even though neither of us have all the answers for how he's going to get from there to there, the inspiration will be there. And over time, in its own way, that will work. And it will just be a small company that I make that is focused on helping the downtrodden, give them the tools to take care of themselves. And that will just be all it takes, because the inspiration will be for them to better themselves, better their communities, and show that they came from nothing everywhere. And along the way, we're going to meet lots of builders and tradesmen who are out there who have been like, fucking rights. Good for you guys. You riffraff, you forgotten about, you nobodies, right? Because I've always been rooting for you dudes out there, but I got to take care of me and mine, right? So these guys going to work and they got their family and their wife and their mortgage and everything like that. They're not idiots. They're fucking... We've all been aware of the bullshit, but what better way? And I think the best way is to take care of those in a way that shows, that lets them take care of themselves. We find the people that society left behind, and we give them a second chance. And as they grow and they rise and they get entrepreneurial and they got drive and shit, well, then they're going to start meeting contractors and tradesmen and stuff, because they're making men's. And that's when you guys, the tradesmen, the fucking dudes with families and quads and mortgages and all sorts of bullshit, tired of turning on the TV, but when you see us homeless folk going out there with a twinkle in our eyes, that's your chance. That's your moment. And that's really where this whole thing counts on you, okay? Because if this is like the homeless versus society because we don't like the way things are and we're gonna hold hands in a hippie kumbaya circle and save the world, that won't work. It takes the whole system to fix itself, right? So the next step is the tradesmen, the blue collars and everything like that. When you see these guys going out there with twinkles in their eyes, you give them the benefit of the doubt. You give them your energy and you apply your ideas to theirs. And next thing you know, your company is part of another company. And it will just be a bunch of small companies, like a whole bunch of little small companies united under a conglomerate or an incorporated or whatever. And you need somebody to hold the title of that company that holds all the other companies together. And until you find somebody better, somebody more trustworthy, I'm willing to do that. And once our company is large enough, and it's about more than just trades and stuff like that, I'm talking R&D, and like that's research and development, right? Like I'm talking about like employing, you know, whole buildings and in the cities and stuff of like scientists and things, people who want to explore all sorts of shit that, well, we don't really know for sure, it's just according to this and that's what we're told on the news. Like, what if we really want to do our own independent surveys of all sorts of shit? Sooner or later, somebody who's in power will be very uncomfortable that they're losing it, and they may try and stop it. But they can't, once all the people are together, they can't stop, you can't stop change. That's why it starts with music. By the way, the internet is a great source of music, but if it's starting to put you in a mindset, remember that you're the one in control, okay? Just because YouTube has you listening to a certain type of music, and if it's putting you in a dank mood, either make your own playlists and burn CDs and stay off it for a while, or just type something else in and set your own tempo. Do not let anything control you. Control yourself, okay? Fear is the only thing between me and what I want. I have confronted my fear on so many levels that it is why the gods have granted me powers. Because as a mortal man, I have confronted every conceivable fear. And I have also found enthusiasm and inspiration along the way. And I'm sorry that I don't sound all chipper and shit like that, but it's more than, you know what, I am chipper. It's more than just putting on a face to make people see. Like, I like people to know how serious I am. And yeah, I'm freestyling this shit. I can't read a script. I never will. A few short bullet statements or whatever remind me or whatever. Fear is the only thing between me and what I want. And I have exposed my darkest, most self-loathing sins. And it turns out they weren't nearly as bad as I thought. But we're all our worst enemies, and I became a monster so I could defeat it, I guess. I've considered all sorts of unbelievable scenarios that people have told me, and the thing that I vocated them out loud, that's now my biggest fear is that people only get half my message, and it works them up into anxiety, and they don't get the other half of the message because they're not spiritually or mentally mature enough to appreciate working through that and then coming to a resolved conclusion. Which is why, like, in an earlier video I explained how, like, DNA on a textbook isn't actually DNA. So we're looking at a lie on a piece of paper to understand DNA, right? That's the same thing with revealing truths and everything. But as a mortal, coming to the undeniable conclusions and irrefutable facts that I have, heaven, and many, 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 many more realms and deities have granted me. Fucking go with it, kid. Let's see what you do, right? I am going to be careful with myself and in the future for the rest of my life. And I'm going to live humbly. At some point in time, if this is just fucking wheels spinning and on tire because a bunch of people are capitalizing on this movement for nefarious and selfish gains, if this isn't going the way it's supposed to go, I'll step forward again. And my little business of helping homeless people and things like that will become, I don't know, we'll start shaking hands with like the really rich guys and everything like that. And I'll need to know that they understand what I'm about. And I am always ready and prepared. If it takes me to be a businessman with absolute conviction, I'll do it. If it takes me to be a politician with absolute conviction, I'll do it. I mean, preferably, I'd like to just hang out and drift around and do car washes and fly kites and meet people and just, but I need a platform to influence properly. I can't just set up a foundation and then walk away and hope a building shows up one day. But in the meantime, there's a few of you out there who are like, this could make a lot of money. I like what this is. I like where this guy's going, the things he said, and whatever. We can move, write some books, blah, 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 blah. Go ahead. Be those fucking doers, those movers and those shakers. But when you start to stack that money up, just remember that the bigger that bank gets, if you don't have a usable, feasible way to spend your money that is gonna, like, a lot of rich people are rich because they know that I can dump a wheelbarrow of cash on a fire, and yeah, it'll feed some people for a while, but it's not really accomplishing anything. So they hold on to their money because they wanna. What is money? It's a token. It's time invested. It's gambles taken, right? So it's a representation of your investment, right? That's what money is. So a lot of rich people are holding on to their money until they understand that if they're going to give it up for something, it's got to be something worth it, right? So if it comes down to it, if this movement is just getting too wild card and nothing really is consolidated, bring it back to me. Because I'll take everybody's combined money out there and flaunt it and go, look, we got $35 billion and this is our plan and this is what we're going to do. So all the other rich guys out there that are holding on to their money, that don't want to make this happen, shame on you. I will never allow greed or delusions of conquest and power to blind me. I know that no matter what we try to do, we will never, ever be satisfied. Whatever plateau, like that's human nature. Whatever we achieve bores us. And then we're like, oh, okay, so not good enough. So I understand that no matter how much prosperity comes out of this, the duality of life will always find a way. And somebody along the way will find a way to maneuver around or under or whatever. I will spend the rest of my knowing life doing what is right, doing what is necessary, doing what God would demand of me. And I'm sorry that I'm not just a poster boy of enthusiasm. Most of my life I've been pretty chipper and I always find the bright side of things, and I'm working on it right now, but I'm trying to be real with people too. And the bright side of things is like it's happening. Like the world is changing. The old narrative is dead, right? I mean, people who actually still turn on the news to see this politician talking shit about that politician, or these news anchors running down those news anchors. I want you to know something. Half the people out there that are these that are in the media that are spreading all this shit are rolling their eyes in the back of their head. They're woke as fuck, and they've been running their mouths like assholes for like 5 years as heroes, because they know that when people wake up, they're going to be like, oh, these twisted bastards have been ruining me. It's their fault. They're blah, blah, blah. But truthfully, they have been poisoning your mind so that when you finally wake up and you spit out the garbage, that you know what to look for. Those guys are heroes. Like the Young Turks and like Rebel News, right? That's right wing and left wing, hardcore. The truth is they're playing devil's advocate. They're running extreme narratives on either side, and they've just been waiting for the world to have enough. Because even though that they're negative influencers, in a weird, fucked up, but like if you really, really grow and you learn to use love and mature spiritually, you realize that these people that have been doing this, they haven't been doing it because they want to see suffering and they're trading it for their own gains. They've been doing it because they find a few things that they can hold on to, and they know that ultimately it was the best way to wake the world up by perpetually spreading disinformation the whole time and convinced of it and having their audience convinced of it. They knew that the day was coming that when everyone wakes up, it was because of the poison that they've been spreading out on the airwaves. They are the biggest heroes, knowing the truth, yet spreading lies so that our souls could wake up and defy, right? Like, it's hard to understand that, like, the most woke people will do the shittiest fucking jobs out there that makes them look like the villains because it's for the greater good, right? So when we're in control of our lives and our destiny again, like, I ain't fucking stopping till cloud castles, all right? Like, I mean, hover, spaceships, all that shit, explore the whole damn ocean, get all the coral reefs and everything like that, and just try to build this utopia. And it'll never be perfect, but it'll be damn near close, right? So while we're mapping out the oceans and we're learning about coral reefs, and there's, you know, like field trips, all schools from all around the world, they just go to the coast daily. We got fleets of submarines to take kids and their chaperones down and explore coral reefs, and sonar mapping this, and we might find a crevice in the deep part of the ocean, or fuck, maybe Atlantis is down there. You know what else? A side effect will come from something like that? Drug smugglers, toxic waste dumpers, people that are up to no fucking good. Well, once we're shining light everywhere that we haven't been looking, that stuff won't fly no more, right? Back to all sorts of things that I was saying. Meth. It is a remarkable tool to jostle, to it's like a NOS bottle, okay? You can run NOS bottle through a stock car and it will go a little bit faster. You whip down that highway. But guess what happens? You heat up your piston rings, you weld your goddamn engine. Meth is... I appreciate that I experienced it, and then I never let it take me. And I respect the fuck out of people who never have, okay? I am going to start a small job trying to help some people off the streets and help themselves as best they can. I am going to build a treatment center, and if it's successful, I'm going to try to duplicate it. My business isn't going to be the richest on the planet, but I was given the keys to the world, and the answer is cut copies and give them to those you trust. There's a fortune and an empire out there, and when you guys are built up and you've made up your fucking minds, if you can't find the guy who does the job best, bring it back to me, because I will hold all the money, all the power, all the decision makings, and I will remain humble, and I will very carefully weigh out my consequences. And I would love to be impulsive and just snap, snap, snap. If it's enthusiasm, for sure. But I've shown my darker side because I needed the world to understand that I appreciate the gravity and the responsibility and how important it is to consider everything before you follow through with something. These videos are never going to get popular on YouTube. I know that. I understand that. These videos are for a select few, and as they choose over time, they may reveal more to others. But these videos are for the world that the world hasn't quite yet realized is awake. My needs are very simple. My path in life has been very difficult to reach. And yes, I do have emotional outbursts once in a while. Sometimes I holler because I know that God is always listening. Doesn't matter where I am. There couldn't be a soul around for 100 million miles. But I know that when I shout out, I'm talking to the collective. And I apologize for my ill temper at times. But at least I'm revealing how fragile and mortal that I am, right? Until the end of eternity, I will take my job very seriously. I chose the side of light, and I realized that talking about drugs and the truth of them is great, and a lot of people are going to try to capitalize on it and make drugs glorified and sound good, and of course villainize people who initially brought it to the forefront, right? You gotta bring something to the light so that it can be dealt with properly. Just putting a bad stigma on an addiction so that people go to the dark alleys and the depths of hell so that they can do them without being judged, that's when they get taken advantage of or capitalized on. And that's when darker influences seize the opportunity, right? Bring that shit to the forefront. Don't glorify it. I might dabble with whatever here and there, and I only do it because I choose to, you know? If you're looking for somebody who is 100% sober and this blank fucking girder of whatever you think an ideal virtue is, when you get them, when you build them, when you know, I've went through this process for, well, I mean, for sure ever since I've been to Kelowna. So many times I was given a choice, and I did the right thing, and nothing will ever stop that from happening. I hope that it's never my job to decide how to handle those who got too carried away with their liberties. I don't want to have to construe all these punishments and everything like that. But if somebody has to do anything, I'm always willing to be the one to do it. And right now, I just want people to know that we've been living in our own oppressive bubble of delirium, delusion, and I don't know what it's called, a whole mass psychosis, right? All the maybes and what ifs and that shit can haunt you. Thoughts are energy put in the universe. Thoughts are more powerful than anything. Okay? If the mind can believe it and conceive it, it can most definitely achieve it. And maybe I'm totally full of shit, and you guys built me all up for this just to see that it's gone too far in a direction you don't like, and you hope I get forgotten. Good. Good. Because you know what hasn't been forgotten? The message that I sent to my chosen brothers. Okay? We are here to show heaven that even though we didn't achieve their standards of purity, that if you give us a chance to to mold ourselves through all the suffering and all the pain, we've been through the darkness, and we can come out and share lessons that, well, that your golden castle just never knew about. I mean, you guys, we are so blessed. We're so thankful for what you give us. But you're a little bit green, aren't you? A little bit jealous because you thought you had everything figured out. But to let those of us who know evil come out of it and then stand against it in defiance and be proud of who we've become and use our fucking God-given right, our superpower, thank you Jesus Christ, to like truly forgive and reconcile with others, like truly forgive and reconcile. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you so fucking much. Your gift of love is the only reason that this world stands a chance. And I don't care what religion says what. I don't even think you give a fuck about churches all that much, dude, because you walk wherever, right? We are proof that giving somebody a second and sometimes even third, or in rare occasions, fourth, fifth, and sixth chance is all it really takes to divinity. If somebody was beating on a woman in the street, I couldn't help my primal lesser instincts to run over and shove that guy to the ground and get in the way, and then try to stop it with my hands open. I just, like a parent wouldn't think twice. If a dog started biting their kids, they'd just grab it and fling it, right? That's in my nature. I couldn't allow such a thing for me to witness without intervening. I know some people who could sit there all Zen and Buddha about it. That being said, I would have a really, really hard time stepping on somebody's head because they hurt an innocent. I would be much more comfortable construing some sort of system where they realized that they were receiving the collective judgment of an entire community, and we just kind of shame them and let it be known that what they did was bullshit, and everywhere they go for the next little while, they're going to be treated as they deserve, I don't want to ever have to tell some sort of murderer or rapist or anything out there that like, okay, strike three, now I'm going to use violence, because that won't work. I want everyone who's able to just fucking figure it out for themselves and transform into better living people. I want people out there to understand that there are gods and angels and things that we don't understand. And I chose the mortal path when they granted me exclusivity, if that makes any sense. So I'm trying to, like as a tether, I'm trying to translate so many things that they're giving me to everyone else who they're granting to look at. And right now I look like a defeated, delirious, broken down, all sorts of crazy maybe man, but I don't really know my true calling, right? It's to cultivate and grow and be enthusiastic and look on the bright side of things, inspiring. But if it can't, like when it comes down to it, to be the greatest man that the world's history has ever known, or to set myself up in such a way that I can help teach, foster, and grow the next generation of greatest men that history has ever known. That's what's important to me. And I know I just sound like I'm just so full of shit and whatever. My buddy and a lot of guys out there who you think are up to no good, they're the real heroes. The unsung soldiers of the night. The ones who look like the bad guy that you gotta watch out for, he's there for exactly that reason. Because if it wasn't him, it would be the devil prowling the streets, preying on someone. So the next time you think you know somebody from some impression that you were given, just imagine for a second that they are choosing to be the bad guy in your eyes so that you never have to face the real demons out there. Let's just take a moment and really appreciate the hard work that a lot of these people do. Drugs will eat your fucking soul. That being said, you're a grown-up. Do what you want. It's fun, but the moment that it's a habit, if you got a routine of doing a drug every fucking day, you better start your routine with a jog and a healthy breakfast and maybe some writing, some classical music, phone somebody in your life and inspire them. You could do all of that in your morning routine, and then you can justify your daily drug use, okay? But if you're just reaching for a pipe or a needle, two excuses. There's two reasons that you can do that. You're either evil and you're trying to corrupt people, if you think daily drug use is totally cool, or you're suffering so badly and you haven't found the way to help yourself. And that's what my treatment center is going to be about, is really getting real with people's addictions and suffering. And it's not there yet. I'm okay with that. I still got to spend some time with some other people, some ebbing and flowing. And this video is, like all the others, not for the public eye. This is for me, God, and the superpowers of heaven, the God's archetypes, or constructs, right? His angels. And they are like, dude, what the fuck are you up to? I don't know. I have to play a role. And what I'm doing is creating division, which means that it's progress. If anything's getting done, you're going to cause a divide. The ultimate goal is unity and love, and I'm trying to use truth to get to it. I don't know. Any man, call me on anything. Look me in the eyes when you want to talk, and I promise that you will know my soul, whatever I have to tell you. I know that even thinking a lie is betrayal, and I'm trying to find the perfect way to keep certain sacred things from those who would be traumatized to hear them. But I am not a liar. If you want to ask me something, sometimes I'll just give a generic answer because I don't really know, right? You're filling out a form. How many kilometers will you drive on your vehicle? And they give you this or this or this or this or this, right? I just guesstimate. To me, that's not a lie. I'm a happy guy most times, and I'm sorry that I've had to show and reveal all the other parts of me, but it's a tremendous, tremendous burden and onus to try and share what everyone has told me that I am not supposed to. But truthfully, everybody has been waiting for a newcomer to think for himself. I take this very, very seriously. And it is not with a foolish stride that I move forward. And yes, I'm happy. And yes, I'm full of enthusiasm. And I'm pumped to see what everybody can create. Because we are all. We are changing the chapters. We are writing a new world. And this is not a revolution with the sword of war. This is a revolution with the pen of creation. This is a landmark moment for the world where we move forward with love and understanding and forgiveness. And as things start to reveal themselves and we work out these irons, or these wrinkles, we iron out these wrinkles, yes, there are going to be those who think that they're getting away with behavior, and even though they're not doing anything super bad, what they're doing is still harming others or the collective karma of our society. And those people are not to be made an example of, but they are to be approached and educated and confronted in a healthy way. I'm not worried about all the problems right now. I'm excited to see the progress. For a while there, I thought that I was just going to be, well, I don't know. After about a year of this, going through this, I thought that maybe Anonymous was going to release a documentary. And then later on, I thought that the aliens that keep this world for heaven were going to kind of like play a movie. And now I realize that it's been my own damn movie. I've been writing my own play for a long time. And everybody has that power. But tempted with everything along the way, these are my faults. I don't like being lonely for extended periods of time. Even if I'm with somebody who's asleep, at least I can charm them and feel good about myself. Another big fault is my insatiable quest for knowledge, which convolutes my understanding of wisdom. My intensity, my compassion, and my frustration, all that, it's at 195%. Okay, so I can feel so much sorrow for someone, or I can feel so much joy for someone, or but it's like something I can't get rid of, right? So if something really, really, really hurts me, and I'm like taking it too much, like, and I'm too sensitive to the moment, that's the trade that I have to make, because that intensity and that conviction is there for my enthusiasm and my stubbornness and everything, right? So to deny me my moments of frustration that are overcomable is to deny me my moments of enthusiasm that are inspiring. I'm working all this shit out in my head, and honestly, for sake of face and representation, I probably should not share this video to only those select few of people that are going to see it. I should show a better, more stalwart and established version of myself, not the indecisive jumping around whatever. But I'm going to press post anyways, knowing that it probably won't be shared. But one day, all these videos that I posted on my own little secret library, maybe I'll come back to them and be able to share them in another way. I'm proud of who I've become. I am proud of who I have become. And nobody's perfect, but together we're damn near. There is very important lessons to be learned in misdeeds and oversights. And if you learn them, power to you. But if you allow evil to govern yourself, you just, whatever terrible things you've done, it's okay. Whatever mistakes you make, it's okay. It's okay to mess up, but from this point forward, don't fuck up. All right? Slipping G, trying to hook up with a girl who's unable to fend you off, you're a monster. All right? You're a fucking monster. Putting somebody in such a bad situation for a small gain, like us homeless, like that's the worst part for people that are homeless. We get put down and out and fucked over by so many people that, like, we might have been up for 4 days and we're trying to get home somewhere and we're just about dead tired, exhausted. So we see a bike leaning on a fence. Man, I should just jump on that bike and cruise it back to my place. I'll get there in 20 minutes and I can finally rest, get out of this bullshit. What is their place? I don't know. Their buddy let them stay on a couch for the day while they're at work or something, right? But taking that bike, well, what if some other homeless person is having the worst day of their lives and then that bike gets taken and that's what sets them off? So when somebody who comes up to them in their life, they snap on, and it's a cascading effect of bad mojo and stuff like that, right? whatever you do and justify, go for it. But if it's not necessary and it's morally questionable, just remember that, like, all these moments stack up. I was really drunk and almost did something that would have brought me to the edge of darkness and never come out of. Ever since that moment, things that have happened in my life, they've been some pretty outrageous and fucking like pinnacle moments of decisions. And thanks to that moment, I have reinforced my character, and I've always pulled the fucking hero of the day moments. Heaven was always watching and tempting. They were always tempting me. I was in so many ways, on so many different levels, so many different times I've been tempted. But I used to do a lot of cocaine. Well, not a lot. I could never afford a lot, but I always used to enjoy it here and there. And I was tempted. Like, a guy showed me what he had. He had like $60 million worth of fucking cocaine, like unguarded, unwatched. And I didn't really even think about it because I knew better, and my parents, fucking God bless my parents, raised me right. But I realized that becoming aware of that, if I had chosen to steal it or whatever, break into that man's home, well, and take it for my own gains, I would not be where I am right now. That's one of many, 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 many temptations that have been put my way, and moments. And I just want to say to everyone else out there, look, man, whatever you've been up to in your life, if you got that pain in your heart because you know what's right, it doesn't really matter anymore, because now you still know what's right. And there is no limit. You have untapped potential. The reason that you're watching this video and the rest of the world isn't is because you are the chosen. And you are representing humanity as a whole. You are showing heaven that the ones who have been through the hardest, if we won't give up on everyone else, they have no fucking reason either, you know? And if my message gets to you, be proud of who you are. Don't ever give up. And if you can find a way to make a buck off of something that I've been up to but never got around to, go for it. Because years down the road, when I'm trying to put myself together, people will ask me, well, what do you got to show for yourself, bro? Well, never really did anything with my foundation. My foundation has been about setting everyone else's up. So when you're all comfortable, you've taken care of yourself, some of you are going to be writing songs, some of you are going to be doing this business, some of you are going to be taking this energy and this movement and whatever you do, make your money, be happy, be charitable. But when I beckon the call, if you've made money off of this movement, please give me a little bit of startup cash so that we can unify this one thing. What if I don't even ask for any? That would be better. Or if you see that I could use it but won't ask for it, hey, you know what? You know how I'm going to spend my money. Food in my belly, maybe some six-packs or whatever to make everybody's time a little bit better if they're still suffering. And build something that's never been fucking done before. Drugs are okay for the experience, but a treatment center to help people stop is my dream. And that's just the start of my dream. Cloud castles, submarines. If there is no Atlantis, let's fucking build it. I'm sorry I've been rambling for so long. I'm humbled. This message, it's not the energy that I usually have. I'm kind of learning my empathy. My bro, he's suffering because he's been working an And like, he's an unsung hero, and he's been at it for a very long time. And he's got his back up against the wall. And the girl that he's with, she's a fucking angel herself. Are they perfect for each other? Probably not. Were they perfectly for each other so that a man could understand why they're going through what they're going through? Probably. We can understand almost anything and become the best versions of ourselves. And that's when it's time to talk and represent what we want. And for a long time, I wanted to be the hero. I did. Maybe I still am. Because I will never give up. And I'll do whatever is necessary. But it's about more than me. It's about every one of you fucking beautiful bastards who got me here. From all the guys that I had fights with and the confrontations. From all the people who slandered my name. From all the people who cheered me up and gave me a pat on the back. From all the great men who acted like lesser men so that I could fix the situation and come out looking like I was the one who had shit figured out. For everyone and everything. And yeah, long story short, it would have been great if this was just some fucking movie, and it turns out it's been a camera crew following me around. But it's God. And I am not perfect, but I will do whatever he commands of me. Let's use the love. Let's show the light. Let's be the best versions of ourselves. And just remember, when you're looking at me, you're looking at the guy that does whatever's necessary. There's a lot of people out there that are a lot brighter, that are a lot more loving, that are a lot more shining. And I am capable of the love. But I come from the darkness. I come from atonement and lamentation. And all I want is people to see the best side of me. But along the way, I learned that truth is my shield. Do you. Be happy. Whatever you're up to. Don't make victims out of your activities, okay? Because this is why I'm pulling back on myself. Because to give everyone the go-ahead on this means that there's going to be consequences. And it's going to be my job to deal with them. I can't just say, oh, I love you, you're beautiful forever. If you just keep doing something awful, I'm going to have to show the world that you're not allowed to, like, we all got heaven's forgiveness and blessing. Christ fucking threw a Hail Mary to let us do this. So we don't just get to think that we're untouchable because love, right? Please let me just enjoy the next few years of my life in productivity, imagination, creation, and happiness. Whatever you think you're up to that you're getting away with, you fucking ain't, and it's going to be my job to call you on it, and I just don't want to go there because it's my job and somebody's got to do it. It's all joy. Make a council that's real and works. Put a man in front of it so that when the whole council comes to a unanimous decision, it's his job to try and think the alternatives out anyways. Without the whole whatever, you just present to that one man what the council has decided, and it's always his job to be the what if about it, and he will go through the negative part, because that's what a wise man does, right? You consider the bad things and then go ahead and fucking do it anyways, because you've had the time to evaluate the consequences, but then you let your enthusiasm, your motivation, and your drive carry you anyways. That's why you don't talk all the negatives out loud, because you'll lose a lot of weaker people along the way who need the positives to keep them going, because they're not strong enough for the negatives. The truth is, make me some Chad that some company has an idea with and fucking reveal some edited story, whatever. Let me start a small business doing what I really want to do, because it's all I can do on this mortal world, and not explain beyond that. Just helping those who are broke down and have nothing understand that they have more power than anyone. I want to give them tools to take care of themselves and watch everybody do a better job than I ever fucking could. But if I have to be the face of an empire that is all about love and joy and everything, I am down for that. Showing you the rags to riches, the comeuppance, the hand up, the hand out. Cool. If things get so out of hand that somebody's got to call the shots and call bullshit on people that are running rampant like jackals and exploiting liberties, I'll do it. And I will be the bad guy for the greater good. I love you all. I really do. And I love you, Johnny B. If only every man could be as great as you are.